You want to get the girl. Yeah, I know. You want to get the girl. You already have the girl is the crazy thing. Like, you already know how to do what you need to do, or maybe you don't. And that's what this video is going to be about. It's going to hopefully inspire you to either go talk to more women or, maybe just get some more women to chat with so you can become better at communicating, because everything comes down to communication. If you can't communicate, then you're going to be screwed in your life. And I'm going to use a reference, or hopefully try to relay a reference from Jujutsu Kaisen. It may or may not necessarily be around that, just because I like the thumbnail and I liked what Goto did with the photo that he was doing, taking selfies of him and the attractive women. This is something that I myself have gone into, and I've talked about a friend of mine, actually a couple of friends of mine, around this as well too, and clients too, around like how dating can be difficult and challenging, because I gave this analogy. Actually, we'll touch on that here in a second. Basically, the first reason, and this is why I want to stick to the video, is to be able to get women. Women are just like you and I. Exactly, just like you and I. Yet they aren't at the same time. I've had my hoe phase. I've had my sleeping around phase. Like, I've done all these things. Like, they're exciting. They're fun. Like, there's a girl in college that I ended up matching up with on Tinder, and then all of a sudden, like, I'm leaving this party, and synchronistically, she ended up coming, like, and picking up somebody from the party. I was like, hey, are you so-and-so? She's like, yeah. I was like, hey, we matched on Tinder. She's like, yeah, we did. I was just like, hey, how are you? Blah, blah, blah. Started talking. One thing led to the next. All of a sudden, I'm in her car. She's touching places that you want women to touch you in. I'm like, well, thank you. You want to come back to, like, you want to go back to my place? She's like, yeah, sure. We had some fun. We ended up going from one thing to the next. Like, maybe that's what you want. Okay? Like, if that's what you want, that's easy. Okay? Sustainable, easy enough, at least in college and later in your life, like, especially with all these dating apps like Tinder, Hinge, Facebook dating, like all these other areas that you can meet these women and like just sleep with them, or you can go to the bars. Like, that's more of an advanced strategy if that is something that you're wanting to do. Because like, this is one of the reasons why I don't ever really go out anymore, is because whenever I would go out to the bars and to the clubs and whatever it may be, is like I would leave my friends and I would just go end up talking with like a really pretty girl, and then I'd taking her home and it was great, or I'd go back to her place or whatever it was, and that was fun. Don't get me wrong, I enjoyed it. Developing those types of relationships is easy. It's a skill. Just being able to close and open up the conversation. Which, if you want to know how to open up the conversation, do something fun, do something light, do something exciting. Like, I was on the hike the other day with some random people that I ended up meeting up at the top of the mountain, which if you guys ever go on hikes or want to figure out how to communicate better, that's where I do offer the coaching. And I know I toss that in with every video that I do right now, just because I know that I was just exactly like you, a little anime nerd that didn't really have any friends. And I'm not saying that's a bad thing. I'm not saying that's a bad thing, because I get it, I understand it, and I resonate with it more than you ever could know. I still watch anime, I still watch TV. It's been something that like I've tried to stop watching and doing for a long time, but I feel like this is my purpose that God has given me to hopefully inspire you to go off and do something that you didn't originally know that you could do. Because that's just what I enjoy doing. Like, I've helped out tons of other people in different niches, in different areas. Niche is basically just like a subset of world or universe that you yourself are in. So it's just a matter about figuring out what universe you want to be in. So with that being said, being able to pick up women can be easy. Being able to sleep with women can be easy. Dating women can also be easy as well too, if you do it with the ways that I'm going to describe to you right now. Because what I was talking about just a second ago with me going on the hike, I like to take photos of people. It's a little weird. You might think it's weird. I found it very helpful, very inspirational, because when I was out in Canyonlands about a year and a half ago or so, I was staying there and I was just thinking, I was like, I would really like a photo of me taken, like, because I just feel like it'd be fantastic, like seeing me like with this whole like landscape in front of me. And then all of a sudden, like a couple of minutes later, some dude walks down and he's like, hey, I ended up taking a photo of you. And I was like, dude, that's the coolest thing. And he's like, hey, can I airdrop it to you? And I was like, yeah. And he airdropped it to me, and it's still the wallpaper on my phone. So when I go on hikes, and when I went on this hike and I met these people up at the top of the mountain, I ended up taking a photo of this couple that was sitting there, and they were like, oh, thank you for doing that. I was like, yeah, of course. Like, you guys looked great. Like, it was a nice little scenic shot, and a lot of people don't get candid photos. This is something that I myself can do. It might not necessarily work from you, because there was this book back in the day called No More Mr. Nice Guy, and there was a story that was related in this book where this guy would end up going to up to girls at the bars. And this is going to sound completely outrageous and strange, and I do just want to give you that as an advance in front of me saying the thing that I'm about to say. He would ask people if he could like poop or pee in his butthole or something like that. Something really weird and strange and outlandish. And I was like, okay, that's strange. But somehow he would end up taking these girls home later, because like that was who his personality was. Like, you have to be who you are, not who somebody else expects you to be or who somebody else has trained you to be. Because when we think about it this way as well too, like, if you're wanting to pick up women, you're maybe watching all these other people, you're listening to all these other people online in some way, shape, or form. I don't know what form it is, but it is in some form. And they're telling you all these strategies or these tactics, and they can work. They can. Yet if that's not who you are, and if it doesn't resonate with your personality, with your individual uniqueness, then it's not going to work for you. That's why, like, for me, taking photos is something that I do that I genuinely, I'm like, this look great. Hey, I took this. Do you like this? Yeah, it's awesome. Hey, can I airdrop to you? It's like, yeah, here you go. So we end up doing those types of things. And from me doing that thing, then I inspired somebody else that was also on the hike to then want to do the same thing. And he also wanted to take another photo, and he wanted to see and he ended up getting this girl's number and chatting with her for a little bit, not a whole long, so like a lot of time. So sometimes when you do these things, you might not necessarily get the exact outcome that you wanted, but you get the exact outcome that you needed. And that's something that I need to relate to you even more, is you always get the outcome that you yourself need. It might not necessarily always be the outcome that you want, but it's always the outcome that you do need. So with that being said, if you go out and put yourself in these situations, if you go out and ask people to, like, if you take a photo of them or something like that, and then you send it to them, it's like, oh, hey, that was really nice of you. Depending on where she's at, that's at least just opening the door. What you do from there is completely up to your own volition. You have to do and be yourself to be able to attract the type of women that you're wanting to attract in your life. At least that's from what I've been able to find out, because there's always strategies and tactics that you can use, and I'm more than welcome to share them with you. I'm prefer doing it one-on-one just so that I know like what would work best for you, because each and every other person, as I've talked about as well, has their own unique style to being able to figure out what they do need and what works best for them. And I just help you identify what those things are to build and help you get more of your strengths out into the world. So if that is something that you're interested in, you can schedule a call down below. I might have already said that, which if I did, I do apologize, but we have to be reminded a lot more than we need to be taught, because maybe you've tried to improve your life, maybe you've tried to stop watching it, maybe you've tried to go and talk with women, but each and every single time that you do, you get afraid and you don't end up doing it, so you don't do it anymore. That's where I come in. I help out with that. Because another strategy or tactic that I've used, and this one was actually more of a recent one, a couple of years, actually about a year ago or so, I ended up going to this bar that I got invited to with a friend of mine. And I was like, I wanted to try this thing because there was a time when I got a promotion at work, the old job that I was at beforehand, before I started doing this full time. And that's why I'm making these like asks, because I knew that I could be of more service to you and helping you improve your life in the ways that I have improved my life compared to like just working at a corporate company or something like that. So I just want to let you know that like you guys are the ones that help make this possible and help, you know, me eat, and hopefully I help you in some way, shape, or form by providing value, which I know that is something that I do. Nonetheless, I went to this bar with a friend of mine, and I wanted to challenge this thing because when I got the promotion, I ended up like sitting at this bar, and I was having a couple of like old fashions or something along those lines, and I really had to go to the bathroom. And there's like a long line of maybe 15, 20 people behind me or something like that. And I was like, I don't want to wait. I really have to go pee. So I asked one dude that's in line, and this is why it's the power of asking. Asking is such a crucial skill to have. If you can ask, you can get anything else. And as in the Bible, it talks about like ask and you shall receive. So I'm just asking more and more and more. This is a prime example of me asking, and you have to start small, as I've talked about in other videos as well too. The smaller you start, you build your way up. So I was at the bar and I asked this dude that's just standing in line, I'm like, dude, can I just take a piss in the bathroom? Because there's another time prior to that, and this is the great part about being able to go to new places that you weren't originally in. When I was out in New Hampshire beforehand, we'll get back to this other story here in a second. I like to bounce around. I know that it always ties back together in the ways that it needs to. So with me going to New Hampshire, one of the dudes that was with us was like, yeah, we all went into the bathroom and he pissed in the sink. And I was like, oh, okay. Like, I never even thought about that. But then when I ended up getting the promotion and going out to like back to a place near where I was at, a cocktail lounge, I was like, I really need to go pee. I was like, hey dude, like, can I piss in the sink? He's like, nah, I don't really want that. But then the girl behind him was like, yeah, no, you can come in and piss in the, and I was like, oh, okay. I didn't even ask her, bro. I didn't even ask her. And she's like, yeah, you can come in. I was like, okay, this is kind of neat. This is kind of strange. This is interesting. And then I don't end up doing anything with her or anything like that in the bathroom because I didn't even think about it at the time. And then when I ended up going out and talking with another one of my friends, like at the gym the next day, I was like, yeah, dude, I was just out this last night and like I had to go pee really bad. And I asked the dude in line if I could go pee. And he's like, no. But then the girl behind me was like, yeah, you can come in with me. And I didn't think about like connecting the two dots. And he's like, dude, you just missed out on a prime opportunity. I was like, really? He's like, yeah, you could have totally just like, you guys could have just hooked up in the bathroom. I was like, I didn't even say a word to her. He's like, that doesn't matter. Like sometimes like women just want stories. And I was like, oh, okay. I didn't know that. So then fast forward a couple weeks, I end up matching with this girl on Tinder or something like that. She's like, hey, let's go to this dive bar. And then she's like, yeah, I totally would have done that in the bathroom with you. And I was like, wait, what? But we ended up coming back to my place because I didn't know that. So then fast forward again, another couple months. And I was like, you know what? Let's make this actually happen. So I ended up making it happen. And I was like, okay, like, I'm just going to go out, and I ended up like, I was taking photos or selfies with other strangers that I would meet. Like we'd find a big group of people, or I find a big group of people, be like, hey, can I take a selfie with you? Because that was something I always thought was kind of weird, but it was something that I always had wanted to do. rewind a little bit back, and I know I said we bounce all over the place on this type of channel because it all does make sense. It all does connect in the ways that we need it to connect in. It's just this is how my mind works because we have to look at one idea from here, and then you take the idea from there, and then you take it from here, then you connect it, and then you make something new. So like this is just me exploring my ideas and my way of thinking. There's a couple of months prior to any of these selfies that had ever happened where one of my buddies, we ended up meeting people on the chairlift because wherever I go, I always meet people. It's just what I do. I talk with people. I make conversation. Sometimes I don't want to necessarily be with the people that I end up going camping or biking or walking or snowboarding with or something like that. I love going with them. Don't get me wrong. Also, at the same time, I want to go meet new people. Like, that's just what I do. So, like, when I'm on the chairlift, I'm chatting with these other people, we're having a good conversation. And I was thinking about that. Like, when I was on the trail, I was like, you know, it would be kind of interesting to like, I wonder if like I could take a selfie with strangers or something like that. But I didn't end up doing it. But my buddy ended up staying with those other two guys that I was talking about that we ended up meeting on the chairlift. So I didn't want to leave my buddy that I ended up going up there with all by himself. But I also wanted to spend time by myself. And at the time, I didn't know how to communicate that to him to be like, hey, dude, like I'm just going to go off and like do my own thing for a little bit. Like we can meet up later. Is that cool with you or chill with you? Because like I still want to be able to communicate and like conversate and like carpool and like do all these other things with other people. But I also don't want to be limited by the people that I'm with. So it's a very fine line that I do walk right now, and it's why I do the things that I do and share the things that I share is because I am helping out in some way, shape, or form, and I didn't know how to use these words beforehand, and it's why I talk about the coaching and why I know the exact place that you're in, because maybe you're in a place where you don't know how to express yourself in a more open, cohesive way. With what I was saying, where he ended up then showing me, he's like, yeah, hey, dude, like, we all took, like, a selfie, like, oh, look at this, and I was like, that's so cool, I did not know that you could do that with strangers. So then, fast forward a couple months, I ended up doing this on, like, the top of a mountain. I take a selfie with some strangers, do that with them, do that with some other people, like, on a walk, on a trail, like, anywhere all over the place, and I'm just taking selfies. So then I go back to the bar, where I'm talking about, like, with this other girl, where I finally wanted to, like, you know, have fun in the bathroom. We go to the bar, and I'm asking her, and I'm just like, hey, like, I'm like, hey, can I take a selfie with you guys? Like, that's kind of weird, like, don't you think? And I was like, no, like, see, like, look, and I show the social proof on my phone, and I'm just like, see, look, like, this is what I do. Like, I just go up and I talk to people, and I love it. It's so much fun. It's exciting. It thrills. I just love it. It's fun. And then once the girl afterwards, she's like, wait, that was kind of cool. Like, you want to do that? And I was like, yeah, like, sure. And then we ended up going over to the side spot, and I could just tell, like, there was just a vibrational, like, knowingness, like you can see when you look in somebody's eyes like what it is. And I was like, hey, you want to go to the bathroom or something like that? We danced for a little bit. She's like, I was like, okay, cool. So we ended up going to the bathroom, we have some fun. I was like, dude, what the like, really? This took some time, but like it ended up happening. And this is where I'm saying, like, if you want to pick up women, you have to listen to what other people do. You have to be observant of the conversation. You have to be observant of everything else that's happening. And then those things will start to happen. Like, it's a fact. It's bound to happen. It's bound to come true. You just have to put yourself in the situation where you are willing to grow, where you are willing to grow, where you are willing to share, where you are willing to question, where you're willing to communicate. And it does take time. It does take practice. And there's going to be some fails along the way, like I was telling my buddy. He's like, yeah, I don't want to waste my time talking to women that I'm not actually attracted to. I was like, I get that, man. I do. I understand that. But, like, you have to talk with everybody. At least that's what I've come to realize is, like, by talking to everybody, I start to free myself up in ways that I wasn't originally freed up in. And then the more that I start to do that, the more free that I come, the more, like, out of my head that I start to come to. That's what I was talking about in a video, either that's going to be releasing or has been released. And it just helps a lot when you have this understanding that, like, you just have to get out of your own head. You have to practice. You have to warm up. At least that's been my thing. Like, when I go to the gym, I always have to, I don't necessarily always warm up, but I don't go off and lift like 100 pounds right off the rip. I go off and I lift like 20 pounds, then I go up to 30 and then 40 and so on and so forth to get me better and warmed up so that then I can start to communicate in a more smooth and efficient manner that I wasn't originally communicating in beforehand. So if that's something that you're wanting to do, like I said, book the call down below. Completely free, 30 minutes. Like, are you wanting to stay where you are at right now, where you can't talk to women, where all you do is, like, just stay at home, play video games, watch anime? If that's what you want to do, cool. Like, I don't mind. Like, I've been there. I've done those things. I just know that whenever I've binge watched anime throughout the whole day, like, I feel like I wasted my life or my day. Like, it's fun. It's exciting. But, like, come on, you guys. Like, there's so much more to do. It's why I go out on a hike and I talk with people and have these conversations, because it's just enjoyable getting to see, like, myself grow over the years and being able to hopefully see you grow over the years as well too. Because we all have some sort of progress that we want to move forward in, or we all have something that we want to accomplish. Maybe you want to get better at art. Maybe you want to get better at, like, communicating. Maybe you want to date more women. Maybe you want to date women that are interested in the things that you weren't interested in. I don't know. Like, that's something that you have to decide. I do know what I want, and I do know that I can't help you, because I've helped tons of other people as well too. And I do things that are a little bit more, I'd say, abstract or a little bit different than a lot of people out there. when it comes to developing women, and when it comes to overcoming self-limiting beliefs, and when it comes to like manifesting and generating what you want to generate, is sometimes we have to start by like small little like incremental steps to be able to get the things that we want to get to. So that's why I say I meet you where you're at, because the only way for us to grow in any way, shape, or form is by starting where you are, not where everybody else has told you to be, because you are at the exact spot that you need to be in. And if you want to talk to women, if you want to grow in women, like try this thing, and then we'll leave it at this. Go and try to like just ask if you can take a selfie with somebody. Go do that. That's a little bit more high level stuff. Or just like say hi to 5 people. Like do something that's going to just slightly make you slightly uncomfortable, but not like completely uncomfortable to like where you're afraid of doing it. If you can't even do that, then like imagine it in your head, like, oh, hey, I said hi to this person. Okay, awesome. And if you can't even do that, then like write it down and be like, hey, I said hi to 5 people. It's like, oh, okay, cool. Like you have to first write it down and visualize it before you actually start to see it become true in your actual real life. And that's something that I would highly recommend you doing. If that's something that you want to hear more about, or if you want help on being guided down that path, cool. You can move forward with that. If not, like you can keep listening to these videos. Otherwise, I'll see you in the next one. And yeah, I think that's about it. Unless, do I have anything else? Oh, yeah. I can share messages with you as well too. Like I have a whole like thing on Facebook dating where like I match with these women. They're not necessarily women that are my type or my style per se, but it's still great just to kind of get different perspectives, different points of views from like everybody, and then start to create your own belief system, start to create your own system, start to figure out like, how do I want to talk to women? Do I want to have long-term? Do I want to have short-term? Do I want to have like these types of relationships? Whatever it may be. And then like just share those things with the people that are around you and see what happens. You might start to see some magic happen in no time. Wonderful. Chat with you soon.